The White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce and SCC TV are proud to present Your Business Matters, dedicated to your business needs. The White Bear Area Chamber is a nonprofit business organization serving as advocates to the White Bear area and its business community. Now, here's the Executive Director of the White Bear Area Chamber and the host of Your Business Matters, Tom Snell.
Welcome to Your Business Matters, brought to you by the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce. Each month, we interview community leaders and local business owners so you can be informed about the developments in our community. Today, I'm pleased to welcome David Smith, Director of Market Development for Prelude Homes. He has some incredible insights into the senior care industry. Welcome, David. I appreciate that you were able to come to our program today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The first thing I want to ask you is, can you give me a background about what is Prelude Homes and your development in the industry, and then also when did the Prelude Homes start and
Sure.
what communities you're located in?
Sure. Well, Prelude Homes and Services is coming up on our 6-year anniversary with our first project in Woodbury.
Okay.
And that's a 30-bed cottage-style assisted living memory care
So
home.
when you say cottage style, then it's not a big, you have separate units around.
It is one building divided into 3 sections that we call cottages.
Okay.
Yep. And so started in 2011. In 2015 then, we opened our second building on that same campus, which is a 6-bedroom home, which is designed for men with early onset dementia, which is a bit of a different product for us.
Memory care.
And memory care as well, yep. And then a little over a year ago, we opened another 30-bed cottage-style memory care home in White Bear.
So you have really then 3 locations. Would that be 2 in Woodbury and 1 in White Bear Lake? Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, you said you started back in not too many years ago.
Right.
And whose brainchild was it to start your company?
Our owner is Phil Domer. And some years ago, Phil got the vision to do something different in the area of providing care for people with dementia. And so he, along with the help of some other people, developed a business plan for this small environment type of a model that we put together.
You just said the word different. Can you explain a little bit about what that means with your business?
Well, I think there are a few things that differentiate us from a number of other providers.
There are a number of them.
Yep, absolutely. I think the first one is that memory care is all that we do. So it's our sole focus is providing housing and services for people with memory loss.
Instead of because some of them are kind of a conglomeration where they offer everything from senior housing to long-term dementia.
That is correct.
Yep.
The second is that we are committed to providing a small environment, a small household model. And so we really, evidence shows us that that's really best for people with memory loss.
I was going to ask you, the evidence shows that that's best. So I was going to ask you, why is that important?
Well, I think to be able to have a space for someone who has memory loss that's manageable space, that where there are not a lot of long hallways, a lot of twists and turns. Easy to navigate and enough space to roam around, but not so much that they become overwhelmed. With that space. So I would say that's the second thing. The third thing is that Prelude is committed to providing spiritual care for our residents that really goes deep into what their needs are. And in addition to that, then, we're committed to providing care for their families as well as our staff. And we think that is something...
What are some of the things that you do for the families?
Well, our chaplains, we employ full-time chaplains on our campuses, yep. And our chaplains will provide whatever level of help a family needs, walking through a sometimes really difficult journey, watching a loved one go through the various progression of dementia. It's a very difficult thing for families. Some families really benefit from having a pastor come alongside them and provide spiritual care, prayer, support, whatever that family needs.
So, another thing that I have noticed over the past several years is that it seems that the biggest growing industry, at least in our area, is the development of senior locations or senior housing, long-term care facilities. What I wonder about from time to time is, does the market ever become saturated? And I wanted to ask you that question, and how do you think your company might be able to fit into that niche if it does become a saturated marketplace?
Yeah, there absolutely are areas, even in the Twin Cities, that have become saturated with
already.
Housing. Yep, already up to this point. And market studies show that there still is a market available to build more. But frankly, we have some concern about the overbuilding, the oversaturation of the different options that they are in the Twin Cities. Twin Cities, I think, right now ranks somewhere around number 6 nationally in terms of target areas for senior housing development.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I'd say again, number 1 is market studies reveal that the demand is there. Demographics tell you a lot about who's living in which areas, which goes into the development of a market study.
Are people just waiting for the baby boomers to move in, or?
Well, that's a big factor. That is a very big factor. But again, we share the concern that some people have, that it is becoming a little bit too much in some areas, and so our concern, really focuses on the provision of good quality care for people that require it, and as well as being able to attract enough qualified caregivers to provide that care.
You've got kind of a niche market too, it looks like to me, when you're just sometimes and you're just strategically focused on that one area.
Right. I think one thing that can differentiate us is that we have a desire, and we also have the capacity to care for people that have a bit more complex needs in the progression of their disease, and so I think that does set us apart somewhat. Exactly.
You have a good staff to residential ratio too.
We do. In our cottages, we have one caregiver to 6 residents.
Wow, that's really pretty incredible.
Yep, and so I think that gives us the ability to care for needs that are a little bit more challenging.
That sounds really good. You know what I'd like to ask you too is, we mentioned the different locations that you've got, Woodbury and White Bear. What made you decide to look at White Bear as a location?
Well, I think a number of years ago, our owner had his sights set on White Bear for some of the reasons that we had talked about.
Right.
There were some market studies done that suggested that this was a good area to come into, both generally speaking, but also in terms of what we provide. Okay. Which is, again, as we said before, simply memory care. So, yeah.
That's really really interesting about your company, and it's called Prelude.
Correct. Yes.
And is there any reason why the name Prelude was used?
Yeah, that was a very intentional thing on the part of our owner to choose that name, and it really, if you think about what a prelude is in musical terms, it's the start of something.
Right.
And so, in some respects, that name signifies that for our residents and for their families, we really view life where they're at, not as the necessarily coming to the end, but the start
prelude
of something.
A prelude to a new journey.
Prelude to a new journey. We consider all of our residents to be of great value in God's eyes, and
Well, David, we're going to just take a short break now, and I have some more questions for you. The White Bear Area Chamber has a special informal session lunch program from 12 to 1 p.m. with the new White Bear Lake School Superintendent at Keys Restaurant in downtown White Bear upstairs. The event is free to attend. Visitors pay for their own lunch. Then, on Thursday, May 25th, the Chamber will host a special event at the Lakeshore Players in White Bear Lake at the Yacht Club. This event, again, is free to attend, and you will have an opportunity to donate to the Lakeshore Players' operational expenses at this program. For more information on these events, check out the Chamber website, www.whitebearchamber.com. I'm with David Smith, Director of Market Development for Prelude Homes. And again, thank you for being part of our program today. In continuing our conversation, wanted to ask you a little bit about people being prepared for that final journey in their life. I've read recently that a lot of people are woefully unprepared for what is going to happen when they retire and move into their senior years. And one of the biggest issues is if they have to move into a location like yours, where they have to come up with the money that's necessary to provide the services. And a lot of people, I read recently too, believe that Medicare covers most of those costs. And I was wondering if you could respond to that.
Sure. Well, Medicare does not cover the costs associated with the services and the housing that we provide.
Even when they say that it covers the first 100 days of medical care or intensive nursing coverage.
Correct. That would be more specific to nursing home care. What we provide is an assisted living environment,
right,
which is not a nursing home. And so Medicare really does not factor in the payment of
so if a person is going to be going into a long-term care facility or a facility like yours, they shouldn't be looking to Medicare as a savior for their future expenses.
I would say that's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
And so then people, they have a couple of different options. Some places are private pay, and then some will eventually accept people, I guess, when they run out of their money. And most of them are private pay, and I think your location is a private pay location. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
But you do have some areas that, even though it's a private pay, that make you different from some of the other locations that are private pay.
Right.
And I would like to ask you what those are, because I think that really separates Prelude Homes from a lot of the other locations that are in the local community and in the Twin Cities area.
Yeah, no, thank you for mentioning that. One thing that we are doing differently is that we're developing our own privately funded subsidy program. So
privately funded subsidy program.
That is correct. A number of providers will partner with local governments to provide a brand of subsidy that we've chosen not to participate in, but instead we've elected to develop our own program. And one of the cornerstones of that program is what we call our real estate asset program.
Okay.
And the way that works is that someone coming into our care who happens to still own their own home,
right,
can utilize the the power of that home ownership
Without having to sell it?
without having to sell it. Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. And so our owner has devised a way to really kind of leverage the the power of that asset to their favor, and that is part of what we're doing in the development of our subsidy.
And how would they use that asset potentially to help?
It really when we step in and work out an arrangement in that program with that resident or that resident's family, then really it has to do with essentially renting that home.
Oh, okay.
And so using the revenue, using the proceeds from those rentals to help to defray the costs of their care. And so it gets a little bit more complex after after that, and we would have more details for anyone interested in learning more about that.
And I'm really interested in that because this is the first time I've ever heard of anything like that, and I don't know if other locations have used that, but was that the brainchild of your company to come up with that?
So far as I know, it was, yes.
Wow.
I know of no other provider that really is able to offer
that is
something
really
quite like
an
that.
incredible story.
Yeah, most people really are forced to are really forced to do some things that they may not be quite ready for.
That's right. Yes.
Sell the home before they'd like to.
Yeah.
And in this particular case, we can at least.
So what can happen is that the resident has a good experience in their Prelude area, and then at the same time they could actually save some of their assets without going into Medicaid or into welfare.
Right. Really what we want to help families do is to not have somebody go into poverty to pay for their care.
And have to move out to a new location or something.
That's correct, yes. And so at the point if someone happens to be with us for an extended period of time, then the program really moves into where we defray 90% of their cost, or rather we subsidize 90% of their cost.
Another area I'm interested in learning from you is you mentioned that you've got a staff ratio of 6 to 1.
Correct.
And what I've heard a lot recently is that because of the number of people that are retiring, that the workforce is shrinking. And I'm wondering if your company has some of the same issues as some of the other businesses do in finding trained employees to move in and take in process of what's going on.
It is a challenge at times. Our desire is to find the very best caregivers that we can find for our folks, and then to do a great job of training them well, and then really being a provider or being an employer of choice for them so that they remain with us. So yes, that I would affirm that is at times a challenge for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with Prelude Homes, we talked a little bit about the issue with Medicare and that you should not rely on Medicare to fund your going into a long-term care facility and your care that you have, and also the issue with the you hire ministerial support, right?
Correct. Yes.
And that's another thing that is somewhat different from some of the other locations. And is this a non-denominational process that you have?
We are non-denominational. We really seek to provide spiritual support for anybody coming to us from any kind of a background. Yes. Some of our residents and their families really don't desire that. Many of them, however, do, and I think that a lot of our folks come to us because of that enhanced spiritual care that we're able to provide. So.
And the counseling service that you have for the whole family, is that used quite a bit with the people that are not only residents but with the children? That's another experience that I haven't heard of. That seems to be kind of unique.
It differs from family to family, and where we really see it emerge with, I would say, most families is when we come out towards the end of life.
Okay.
And families are starting to come together a little bit more as they prepare to say say goodbye to their loved one,
Yes.
that's when a lot of that contact happens. But even prior to that, there
Sure.
are families that will come to us and seek some level of support.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Prelude Homes is located in White Bear again. And do you have any thoughts about expanding your operations at the present time?
We're really proceeding cautiously for
Sure.
some of the reasons that we discussed a few minutes ago about the saturation in the market.
Yes.
But we are looking at some other areas for further expansion. We don't have anything that's
Yep.
quite yet on the horizon, but we have our sights set on a few
Okay.
areas. Yes.
Now, if somebody wants to get a hold of you or Prelude Homes, how do they go about making that happen?
Well, you can connect with us online. We are www.preludecares.com.
Okay.
Or you can call our main number, 651-501-6513, and then you follow the prompts for whichever extension you need to.
Okay. And you're located in White Bear, your address?
We are at 4650 White Bear Parkway.
Okay.
So just to the north of 96 on White Bear Parkway.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
It was a
thank you, Tom.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, David, for joining me today. I'm Tom Snell. Thank you for watching Your Business Matters.
You've been watching Your Business Matters. For more information on this program or the White Bear Area Chamber, visit whitebearchamber.com or call 651-429-8593.